वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिलावल भुट्टो ज़रदारी इस वक्त न्यूयॉर्क में न्यूज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस से खिताब कर रहे हैं.
Everywhere this has been mentioned by more than many speakers and the UN Secretary General. So that's one phase. But have you devised any kind of mechanism to materialize the promises or pledges being made by the international community? So far, I think 60 million out of 160 million announced has been done. So on your part, your government has got so many domestic problems as well, but what kind of mechanism has been materialized
so
that
as far
this aid reaches to the victims transparently, effectively, and in a very meaningful ways? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So as far as the 160 million initial flash repeal, I believe we've gone beyond that to 75% of our target, but actually there will be a renewed flash repeal given the size and scale of the damage. Actually, we're still in the rescue relief phase. We haven't entered into the rehabilitation phase. There's still large sections of the country not only underwater, but this water is steadily descending towards the sea, and as it does so, it engulfs and harms other areas. Once the water does truly recede, we will be able to get a more accurate damage needs assessment done. We're doing so in accordance with the World Bank to ensure accuracy, transparency, etc. Once we do have a damage needs assessment, then everyone from the UN Secretary General to the President of France have offered to help us in order to galvanize the international community and to engage with international finance institutions to be able to overcome what is an incredibly overwhelming situation. As far as the aid received so far, as far as the pledges pledged so far, as far as the assistance given so far, it's all a drop in the ocean. 33 million people. That is more than the population of New York State that we're sitting in today. It is more than the population of many, many countries who were represented here today and spoke at the United Nations. So whatever we're doing, whatever the international community is doing so far, is just a drop in the ocean. And it will take us a long time to recover from this tragedy.
Thank you. Sue?
Hi, this is Dr. Xu with China Central Television. I have two questions. First, you just mentioned about a chain action by this flood. The flood leads to health crisis, and then might be a potential food crisis and the economic crisis. So where do you think is the weakest link you can break the chain, and how to do that? And the second question is concerning today's meeting, the G77 and China. The Secretary General, in his remarks, he said, and I quote, "The global financial system was created by rich countries to benefit rich countries. We need to balance the scales between developed and developing countries and create a new global financial system that benefits all." Do you agree with that? And how exactly, as the president of G77 and China, would like to do with this?
So as far as the challenges that we're facing going forward, we're really taking them one at a time. And at the moment, while we're still battling with floodwaters, we really have to focus on rescue and relief and see how we can support those victims of this tragedy. Going forward, we have to have a comprehensive plan for reconstruction and rehabilitation based on the still to be completed damage needs assessment component. But that plan for rehabilitation and reconstruction is where we have to create the opportunity within this crisis. The world had to adapt, we had to mitigate, and we also have to adapt to the new realities of climate change. And the devastation that this flood has caused has given us, or will give us, the opportunity going forward to not only reconstruct, rehabilitate, and rebuild, but to do so in a better manner, to do so in a greener manner, to do so in a more climate resilient manner. As far as the UN Secretary General's comments on the international financial system, he was with me today at the G77 plus China group that Pakistan was chairing, where he reiterated his remarks, calling the international financial system morally bankrupt, and pointed to the fact that many African nations were not part, the forming of these institutions. Many former colonized nations were not free and a part of such institutional frameworks, and therefore he's given a call for us to reassess how the international financial frameworks work, and for them to do so in a more just manner going forward.
Efrain.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Good to see you, Mr. Foreign Minister. I have a question on Afghanistan, if you don't mind. Your Prime Minister today mentioned that some work is being done on gender rights in Afghanistan, and in his speech, very quickly. We had Afghan women here in this very room a couple of weeks ago, and they seem to be feeling and thinking that the OIC is not doing enough to support their rights, and that the OIC has levers with the Taliban that they're not using to support the cause of women there. What's your response to that? And then as the chair of the OIC, and also as the son of the first Muslim woman to have a democratic government in the world, the late Minister Bhutto, what's your message to Afghan women and to the Taliban regarding that issue? And then I have another question, if that's okay.
Just let me answer this question. So as far as the Prime Minister's speech is concerned, he did call on the government, or the interim government of Afghanistan to respect their citizens' rights regardless of gender, etc., if I'm correct. As far as the situation on education is concerned within Afghanistan, particularly female education is concerned in Afghanistan, while we recognize that there's primary education available to women and there's segregated tertiary education available to women, Pakistan, along with the rest of the international community, is waiting for the interim Afghan regime to implement secondary education for women as well. As far as my message to the women of Afghanistan and the women of the Muslim world, this I don't believe is an issue of the international community, or not just an issue of the international community. This should be an issue for the Muslim world, for the Muslim Ummah, and you're indeed correct, for the OIC as well. Because Islam is what first gave women their rights. Islam is what guarantees women their rights to participate within society and their right to education. So we expect not only Afghanistan but across the world for women to not only be guaranteed these rights, but these rights to be protected. I'm actually currently the chair of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the OIC, and I am trying before our chairmanship expires, God willing, to be able to hold an event under the auspices of the OIC to do with women's rights in Islam.
वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिलावल भुट्टो ज़रदारी न्यूयॉर्क में न्यूज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे थे, जो कि आप बराह रास्त देख रहे थे। वज़ीर ख़ारजा का कहना था कि सैलाबी सूरत हाल के बाइस आलमी बरादरी से फ्लैश अपील की गई, मुतासरीन तक इमदाद साफ़ और शफाफ तरीके से पहुँचाई जा रही है। सैलाब से मुतासर इलाकों में इमदादी काम बेहतर तरीके से जारी है। पाकिस्तान का खुसूसी दौरा करने पर UN सेक्रेटरी जनरल के बेहद शुक्रगुजार हैं।
My mission, my message for the women of Afghanistan is that I am with you and I will always be with you. They should be allowed to go.
Islam, they always talking about Sharia law. Pakistan is our neighbor. Pakistan has influences today. Mr. Sharif mentioned that Afghanistan is safe haven for terrorists. Why we suffer?
So as
so many women, no delegation from Afghanistan, no women. I'm a woman, suffered woman from Afghanistan.
Absolutely,
You're our
ma'am.
neighbor. I interviewed your mother.
Really?
She was friend of mine. She
I
was
see.
wonderful, but we suffered. This is 40, 50 years that Afghan people.
Absolutely. I think that the government in Afghanistan will soon find that it is not wise to fight with the women of your own country.
Thank you.
And the women of Afghanistan are truly brave, resilient women. They've had to be too brave for far too long. But I'm honestly, this is a topic that we don't give up on. This is something that we consistently engage with the interim Afghan regime. And while there is access to female education at the primary level, or the tertiary level segregated education. We do hope to see the day that secondary education is also allowed for women and girls in Afghanistan. And we say it again and again and again that this is not an issue for the West. This is not an issue for America or the United Kingdom or the European Union. This is an issue for the Islamic world and Muslim women across the Islamic world who've been granted their rights by their religion, and we should not compromise on their rights.
I'll take last question, Shabir. Sir, last
She's the boss. She's the boss.
last question, Shabir. We are done. Okay.
यार मैं क्या करूँ अब?
Shabir, you can have a last question, then we
tell
will.
me, who am I answering?
Can you please? We have to start the new.
Once I've concluded our visit here to the United Nations, I will be making my way to DC for my bilateral engagement with the United States, and I look forward to meeting once again with Secretary Blinken. After that meeting,
वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिलावल भुट्टो ज़रदारी न्यूयॉर्क में न्यूज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस से खिताब कर रहे थे, जो कि आप बराह रास्त देख रहे थे।